Hello and welcome back to my Samurai Jack Retrospective. I'm your host, That Minnesotan Guy. Alright now, I've got another favorite episode of mine that I would like to talk about, so let's not waste any more time and review Samurai Jack, Episode 8, Jack vs. Mad Jack.
We start this episode with two bounty hunters playing a game of five-finger fillet.
When I was a kid, I always thought that the blue guy had a visor around his eyes. Now I know it's just a piece of light focusing on his serious look. Also, the fish guy licked the fork. Trust me, fish germs are not something to be trifled with. Sometimes, even the toughest of foes can be bested with a sharp fork.
One of the patrons then sticks a coin into a jukebox. Perhaps you should listen to what comes out of it.
It's catchy enough. You know, if Tartakovsky made this episode for Adult Swim instead of Cartoon Network back in the day, the dancer would have been a stripper rather than what we got. Oh, and if you think I'm going to dance to this music, I can't. We've got a show to do here, people.
We then see Jack enter the bar with several bounty hunters taking notice. He asks for some hot water from the bartender and finds a seat to enjoy his drink.
You got some kind of nerve.
You tell me. Then again, Jack is pretty tough. He's got nothing to worry about. Although, I do know a few bounty hunters that would give Jack a real challenge.
Better finish that drink quick.
What is with this fish? Does he have several infectious pathogens that I should be aware of?
The fish guy then reveals Aku is offering 2 Googleplex for Jack's head. Upon hearing this, several bounty hunters arm themselves to collect the reward.
2 Googleplex? That would set me for life. What can I do to receive that kind of money?
The bounty hunters attack, but are easily defeated by Jack. As Jack leaves, he is greeted by
Samurai Jack!
Is that a Wookiee?
the crazy round man, then attacks Jack using his claws, and Jack loses his hat again.
I think I'm going to start a list of how many times Jack loses his hat. I'll let you know what the number is by the end of this retrospective.
The crazy round man then tries to body slam Jack, but is knocked out in the process.
Looks like there'll be no money for you, crazy round man.
Since we never see this character again, I think it's safe to assume that he went home and reevaluated his life. Oh, right, almost forgot. That bounty hunter goes by the name of Og.
Jack then dodges the sharp finger of a bounty hunter named Monkar. Monkar then taunts Jack and manages to grab his sword.
Smart, but don't underestimate the samurai. He may have no sword, but that doesn't mean he can still fight.
After a quick bullet time with the sharp finger, Monkar blocks one of Jack's attacks. The samurai kicks him into a tree, getting his sword back in the process.
Finish him!
As the two lunge at each other, Jack gives Monkar a little slice.
Alright, we'll call it a day. Let's go find another portal that will bring you back to the past, Jack. How many bounty hunters are there? Also, isn't that bear Russian? I've always wondered that since I was a kid.
A centipede attacks Jack, but he manages to cut through its body. The bear lunges at Jack, but he gets his hat cut in half.
That was my favorite hat you just ruined, Suka!
The centipede divides in two, and Jack dodges them. Jack knocks out the bear, only to be ambushed by Hunter from Dexter's laboratory?
Hold the mayo! I know you all are going to assume that Samurai Jack and Dexter's Laboratory are in the same universe, but they're not. I understand that Tartakovsky is the creator of those two shows, but he only put Hunter in there as an Easter egg.
Hunter fires a few shots only to get knocked off of his elephant. In the process, Jack cuts the two centipedes and drives the bear away. Hunter orders his elephant to charge, but Jack slices the belly of the beast and the mechanical contents spill.
You know how much I paid for that elephant on the black market?
The last 4 centipedes emerge, and Jack finishes them in a fit of rage. It turns out that Aku was watching the battles, and in frustration asks if there is anything that can defeat Jack.
No fighting style can defeat his.
This is a great scene of Aku. Not much else to say, really. Then again, I should talk about how great Aku really is. Oh, I must have fallen asleep for a little bit. But at least I had the episode on pause. I swear, I didn't rewind it. Oh.
Who else wants some?
That has to be one of the greatest lines Phil Lamar has ever delivered. Now from here on out, you will find out why I regard this episode as one of my favorites.
Jack calms down, and this happens.
That reaction alone shows pure anger. What comes out of it will give you quite a shock. Say hello to Mad Jack. This character alone is the reason why I have this episode as one of my favorites. Also, his look is very intimidating, whether it's the pure evil in his red eyes or just about anything else. This guy is someone you do not want to mess with.
What sorcery is this? Who are you?
Don't be such a fool. I'm you.
If you are me, then who am I?
Oh, you're so stupid. You are you also.
Excellent dialogue from the great Phil Lamar. Is there anything he cannot do?
I am your dark side, and I possess all the powers that you wield. And I have only one purpose in my existence: to destroy you.
Well, that's quite the shocker now, isn't it? I told you this guy is someone you cannot mess with.
Mad Jack makes the first move, and after several slashes, he manages to cut Jack.
You might want to step your game up a bit, Jack. This guy is pretty tough by the looks of it.
Jack then starts slashing at Mad Jack and successfully cuts his hair. That is, until Mad Jack evens it out.
Everything about this fight scene is fantastic. You can clearly see what's happening, you know who is bad and who is good, and the music only adds to the intensity. But we'll get to that in a little bit here.
Though evenly matched, Jack and Mad Jack continue to fight. Their swords create sparks which set the forest ablaze, and we get different shots of Mad Jack's attacks.
Now we get into the real meat of this episode. Let's start with a piece of music that has made my blood run cold for as long as I can remember. perhaps I'm going insane, but whenever I hear the music, I always get the feeling that there's a demon growling in the background. The shot of Mad Jack and the fiery blaze only furthers how frightening this scene can truly be, if you let it get to you.
Jack and Mad Jack lunge at each other until they cross blades, which apparently causes a blast that eats away at the forest.
I've heard of mystic weapons that can do this sort of thing. Let's just say you'll see this sort of thing happen again in a future retrospective of another well-known franchise. Yes, I will. The next part of this episode has some great use of symbolism. I'll explain in great detail.
Jack notices his eyes and his sword. We then flash to a burning tree. You see, this represents Jack's inner rage. This is where Mad Jack was born. Rage is like fire and can last for as long as it wants to. When the waterfall washes away the burning tree, Jack has calmed down to a more peaceful state. In this case, the waterfall represents Jack's inner peace.
That's quite a mouthful. The one thing I especially like from this part is how the music starts out as ominous, and then it transforms into a more joyful sound. Here's the sample for you. Now with that out of the way, let's finish this episode.
The fires then disappear, and Jack tells Mad Jack that the battle is over. Since Jack erased his inner rage, Mad Jack no longer exists. Mad Jack doesn't believe this and goes in for the kill.
From what I can recall, that scream that Mad Jack gives out always terrified me as a child. There are other aspects of this fight that used to scare me, but as an adult, I can enjoy this episode without having to freak out.
We end this episode with Jack giving a message out to Aku.
I know you're watching. These tricks are starting to annoy me.
So that was Jack versus Mad Jack. What makes this episode a personal favorite of mine is pretty much Mad Jack himself. He has to be one of the most memorable antagonists that I've ever seen, and the symbolism surrounding him is just wonderful to see. I love everything about this episode, and I highly recommend it for new viewers of Samurai Jack. Join me next time when I review Episode 9. Now just remember, folks, I don't do this show for praise, recognition, approval, or anything like that. I do it because I want to. I'm That Minnesotan Guy, bringing you all quality entertainment since 1996. Or is it 1986? I don't know. I'll see y'all next time.